If you've ever gone back and forth on worries of AI taking over everything, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Thursday, January 8th edition. Boy, we got some news flow yesterday that affected some stocks. We're going to cover all of that here today. We got some other stuff to go over. We've got trading to do, and we've got one more session to get through before the start of the college football playoffs. We're going to go ahead and take care of that here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Thursday edition for January 8th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your hump day. Hopefully Wednesday finished off well for you. My Blackhawks won and I won the parlay that I placed on it. So it was an awesome night going into today. Now we have another day to get through here. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Marty is first here today. Welcome, Marty. Good morning. Elon says phones will soon be obsolete. Is he trying to upset Apple's stock? Elon's a disruptor. Maybe. He said before he doesn't want to build a phone. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to build a phone. He thinks they're actually obsolete. Call me old-fashioned. I'll take a handset over some implanted device in my body any day of the week. So I'm not sure I'm on the side of phones being obsolete. Nonetheless, Marty, good morning. Welcome back. Richard Judge, good morning. Welcome back. Keep throwing that positivity into the universe, bro. We need as much as we can get. It's good to see you again. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you again as well. Brian Mary Photography, good morning. I've seen a few of them lined up. I believe you're talking about the Starlink satellites that Marty and Brian were discussing. It's wild to see that stuff the first time. I would also throw SpaceX in there when you see one of those rockets going across the sky. I get some pretty cool pictures from my friends that live in Arizona on that. So yeah, it's wild. Cad Monkey, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Brent, good morning. Welcome back. EKS, good morning. Good to see you again. Robert, good morning. Brian, welcome back. H&H Tactical, welcome back. Good morning. Big Dave, good morning. It's good to see you again. H&H Tactical saying ACRV are announcing the phase 3 findings at 8:30. Actually, those are out now. I believe that was out at 7:30. That's one of the pieces of news that we had for today. The webcast, I believe, starts at 8:30. So you're likely going to get more context and follow-up and probably insight through that webcast. But nonetheless, good stuff. And appreciate you mentioning it to our happy hour group yesterday and getting us prepared for it. Nice that we had a little bit of time to prepare for that. Ezra, good morning. It's good to see you again as well. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, Ryan Milligan, and Wiss, welcome back. AC, Big Bees, and Day Trader, welcome back. Good morning, folks. Good morning, Bernhard, Tom, and Neville. Austin, it's good to see you as always. Just passing through. Welcome back, buddy. Dirkus, good morning. Cam, good morning. Hoot, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Tyler says, go Bills. That tell you what, that Bills-Jags game might be one of the best games of the weekend. I'm on your side. Go Bills. Work Life, good morning. It's good to see you again. Ed, welcome back. Good to see you again. Peter, good morning. Supposed to snow. All right. Didn't you just have like warm weather in Colorado? Get that snowed. Do you still ski, Peter? Just curious. Catherine, good morning. Good to see you again. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Afshan, good morning. Sam, good morning. All right, Bob, good morning. Captain Ryan, loving my Ondas. Good. Castle, good morning. Jane, good morning. Just some guy in Tennessee, good morning. Lambo Rolls, good morning. JJ, good morning. Sam here saying, thanks for starting my day with Pre-Market Playbook and Story Trading. My account is up 165% on the year. Wow, those are some pretty eye-popping gains. You're up way more than I am this year. Really, really good stuff, Sam. Keep it up. I'm glad that you are finding benefit from the programming we're doing here at Benzinga. That's fantastic. And folks, as I hinted at yesterday, we got to talk to a couple more people today, but we might have a different schedule coming for you next week. Stay tuned on tomorrow's show. I should have a final answer for you. And I just want to reiterate again how appreciative we are of all of the feedback and kind words that you folks are are giving us on a regular basis. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Fergus, Rooster, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. Oops, that's the wrong screen. Futures under pressure ahead of Thursday's open here today. S&P futures down 0.2%, Dow futures down 0.38%, and the NASDAQ futures down 0.29%. It's about sideways. I guess it was a little bit lower in the after-hours session, but really has made no significant move yet as of today. Or as of this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from last session. Materials, utilities, and industrial stocks recorded the biggest losses on Wednesday, though healthcare and communication services bucked the trend, closed the session higher. However, investors remain highly vigilant regarding headline risk. The U.S. Supreme Court could make a ruling on the tariffs imposed on other countries by Trump as early as Friday. So that would be tomorrow. The Supreme Court had said it will hold an opinion day on Friday with justices back from break. Additionally, investors also await the December jobs report slated to be released on Friday as well. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.15% and the 2-year bond yielded 3.47%. Also worth noting, since we've been talking about rate cuts quite a bit going into 2026, the CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections are showing markets pricing in an 88.4% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current rates unchanged in January. And this should be no surprise. I'm pretty sure a majority of the group was on this side for this next one. We're not really expecting a cut, and I would imagine the market feels the same on that. Now, let's get to some of the big news here, because this is, and this is it. Yesterday, we got 2 news stories directly from the Trump administration that directly affected. You know what? I'm sorry. I totally blew that. Let's go through the actual stocks in focus first, and then we'll take a look at the SPY, and then we'll dive into the big news story. I got too ahead of myself here today. First stock in focus is going to be AZZ. I guess that's as. It was 2.8% higher in the pre-market on Thursday after the company reported upbeat earnings for the third quarter. The next stock on our list here is one we've traded before off of some PRs in the morning and off the relative volume scanner. It's going to be Immuneering. That's ticker IMRX. Shares tumbled 22.93% after it announced updated overall survival and safety data from its ongoing phase 2A trial of one of its drugs in combination with modified another drug in first-line pancreatic cancer patients. Was over 13 months of median follow-up time. So looks like not good data on that. Stock is slumping as a result of that. Northrop Grumman is the next stock on our list. That's ticker NOC. That jumped 6.84% as shares of defense companies traded higher following President Trump's social media report, where he proposed increasing the 2027 military budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. Phantom Pharmaceuticals is the next stock on our list here. Ticker is PHAT, FAT. It dropped 14.22% after announcing the pricing of a $130 million public offering of common stock and pre-funded warrants. The last stock on our list is Constellation Brands. This was a stock on our list yesterday. They're on the list again today because shares were 2.32% higher after posting better than expected earnings for the third quarter. It's also worth noting that STZ has maintained a strong short and medium-term price trend, has not yet converted that long trend over. Okay, now that I'm back on track, we'll go ahead and take a look at the SPY chart, and then we'll dive into some of that news there. So we talked yesterday about the SPY really kind of butting up against this triple top-ish area. We did set a new all-time high yesterday, and then we backed off, and that was in concert with some of the posts that we got from the administration. In any case, we did set a new all-time high. We didn't really extend from that all-time high. We pulled back yesterday, and we're under pressure a little bit today. So makes sense if we want to probe an area lower here. That area, to me, the 20-day moving average is basically right on the trend line. We have been talking about this being support here. The 20-day moving average at 684.78. And if I put my cursor over the trend line that I drew, it's 685 and change. So really that 685 level today on the downside should be a pretty important one. We'll see if it catches any support there or if we just melt it. If we do, I would expect a test of 680 next. By the time we get down there, the 50-day might actually climb up to that value. It's currently at 679.81. So what I'd be looking at here is the trend line. We've been talking about this. I know that there are a lot of folks that think the market is due for a sell-off. And frankly, if it breaks the 20 and this trend line that's been acting as support, that could absolutely be one of the indicators that's going to send this lower. We'll keep an eye on this. I have no macro position. That is to say, I have no position on the overall market. I'm just kind of reacting to whatever hand gets dealt here. But this is what I'm looking at right now in terms of where we're going. If we set a new high, the big thing for me is, do we actually have the strength to trade back into this channel? Or are we going to end up using that as maybe a higher reversal point for a move down here today? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the, and I'll go ahead and bring up some charts to help illustrate this. We have no guest here today, so it's just going to be news and charts until we get to the pre-market pulse. We'll bring on 13 and we'll prepare you for all of those movers. But this was actually really good timing because kind of a lot happened. Now, Lockheed Martin is the stock in focus here. The reality is this affected a lot of the different defense companies, some more than others. Lockheed Martin whipsaws after Trump bans buybacks and then like a couple hours later calls for a military budget increase by a substantial amount. Shares of defense contractor Lockheed Martin, which is ticker LMT, whipsawed on Tuesday, witnessing a steep decline during the regular session before mounting a recovery overnight. That happened shortly in the after-hour session, in response to a pair of social media posts by President Trump made in quick succession. Lockheed Martin shares were down 4.82% on Tuesday and closed at 496.87 after Trump made a post on Truth Social criticizing America's defense contractors. Didn't have that in my on my bingo card for yesterday. Trump took aim at the industry's massive dividends and stock buybacks, which he said were made at the expense of investments in plants and equipment, resulting in slow deliveries of vital military equipment. He further warned that maintenance of military equipment was far too slow and insisted it must be on time going forward. He also targeted executive pay. Someone reach out to Elizabeth Warren and see what she feels about this. Again, did not have it on my bingo card. He also targeted executive pay, calling compensation packages exorbitant and unjustifiable, and declared that no executive should be allowed to make in excess of $5 million, end quote, until production and maintenance problems improve. In a sweeping statement, Trump said that he will not permit dividends or stock buybacks for defense companies until such time as these problems are rectified. Here, I'm going to go ahead and throw this. I'm not going to read the entire Truth Social post. I'm not talented enough to do a Trump impersonation that's that long, to be quite honest with you. But if you're interested in any of these, there's multiple in here. They're in the story that I just threw in the chat. So we'll actually pause right there. We'll go back to Pro. Let's bring up LMT. Let's take a look and see what happened here. This is what the candle actually looks like on the daily chart. But if we zoom in, you can see what actually took place here. This is when we got that first tweet. And this is a pretty substantial move down. It happened on volume. You see, we basically closed on the low, right? There was a little attempt to bounce in here. That was very quickly rolled over and sold into. We closed on the lows, and then we got the second tweet. Stock traded right back up, completely evaporated the loss that it had, and actually it's higher here by 7.7% here today. So this is what happened. Now, the second part of this, a few hours later, in another post on Truth Social, Trump called for a historic boost to the U.S. defense budget, saying, quote, our military budget for the year 2027 should be about 1.5 trillion instead of 1 trillion, while adding that was essential for building the, quote, dream military. And again, this is from another kind of a lengthy Truth Social post here. This sparked a reversal in the defense stocks, with Lockheed Martin now up 6.3% overnight, as I just reported. That's actually extended some of its gains here this morning. So one of the key takeaways here that we were discussing on Happy Hour that I definitely want to bring to the group here today is a couple of things. One of our members yesterday said, just flat out, after seeing all of this, shorting defense companies is never really a good idea. And I got to be honest with you, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Yesterday, the bounce in Lockheed Martin really wasn't that great initially. Probably gave some people some jitters, but shortly after that, able to trade back up on this. Now, what do I think about this going forward? I would imagine that this is probably not going to affect the stock all that much in the long term. If anything, I think that the buyback is going to be outweighed by the increased budget. And then, as an aside, just my own personal opinion, to me, it almost seems like, shouldn't we make sure that all of the money being spent now is going to the right places before adding another $500 billion? That's just my own personal opinion. We'll see how it all shakes out here. But nonetheless, this actually made for some pretty wild trading in some of these names. Now, there was another name here that had something specific going on, and that's going to be Raytheon. Raytheon, Lockheed, L3 Harris, and other defense stocks climb on Thursday. I know some of this is a repeat, so I apologize for that. This is a really good breakdown of some of the other ones, though. Northrop Grumman, ticker NOC, led the rally with a 7.8% jump. Lockheed Martin rose 6.5%. That went higher here. L3H Technologies, ticker LHX, gained 6.29%. That was actually a ticker from our stocks in focus earlier this week. That's actually higher than that. And then RTX climbed 4.45%. I already talked about the military budget there. And then here, this is what I wanted to get to here. Trump threatens to block Raytheon contracts. In another post, and here, if just in case you guys all want to just have all of this stuff for you, there's the other link. In another post, the president particularly expressed his discontent with the performance of ticker RTX, or Raytheon, stating that the company needs to invest more in upfront investments like plants and equipment, or risk losing contracts with the Department of War. He further stated that the Department of War has identified Raytheon as the least responsive defense contractor. Notably, Raytheon has been expanding its global presence with several high-value contracts. In December of 2025, Raytheon won a $1.7 billion contract to provide Spain with 4 Patriot air and missile defense systems. This followed another significant contract in September of 2025 when Raytheon strengthened its defense capabilities with a $26 million rocket motor deal. So it looks like a couple of these were singled out. If we go back to Pro and we take a look at RTX here, this is what it looks like. It had a pretty substantial move lower and then got everything back, and we're basically right to where we were before all of these shenanigans happened. If we go back to the daily chart here on Raytheon, let me reset it so it actually looks normal. This has been a massive winner from the Liberation Day pullback. And actually on the chart, it makes the chart look awesome. We had right down here, Liberation Day, we had this test of the 200. We actually broke it at the end of April and very quickly recaptured it, and then went on a really, really great run. You can see what we've actually done during this run is we've stayed above the 50-day moving average, with all 3 tests of that average resulting in a bounce. Now, today we're 3.9% higher. The candle here from yesterday, just because of all of the wildness, looks a little weird. But the key here is that we're actually holding above that 20-day moving average, that 183. Current price, 193. So this would actually have to have a substantial fall today to take out that 20-day moving average. And that 50 that we've bounced off, that's 177 3/4 down there. So I'm not necessarily sure how to play this as far as the timing goes. If I were going to play this actual theme, I would definitely play to the long side. The success that I've had trading defense stocks has been to the long side. It's kind of been a slower grind. RTX was really good. I actually sold it too early the last time that I traded RTX. But a lot of back and forth here on this. I understand if you're kind of taking a taking a hands-off approach until we get a little bit more clarity on what's going on. Ultimately, though, I think this is probably going to be positive for those basket of defense stocks. Now, the other theme that we have going on, this was our macro minute from earlier this week, and really this macro theme has carried through the entire week, so we really don't have a new theme. But this has to do with the oil here in the Venezuela issue. ExxonMobil said on Thursday that changes in oil prices are expected to reduce its upstream results by $800 million to $1.2 billion in the fourth quarter compared with the third quarter. Changes in gas prices are also expected to impact upstream results by a negative $300 million to a positive $100 million over the same period. The company added that variations in industry margins are projected to boost energy product earnings by $300 million to $700 million over the same period. On the other hand, ExxonMobil expects changes in industry margins to reduce chemical products earnings by $200 million to $400 million, while specialty products earnings are projected to range from a flat to $200 million increase in the fourth quarter. Moreover, ExxonMobil said timing effects are expected to impact upstream earnings by a negative $300 million to a positive $100 million. Energy products earnings could benefit by $100 million to $500 million. The company also noted that scheduled maintenance is expected to weigh on upstream results by $200 million to zero, while energy products, chemical products, and specialty products could see an impact ranging from a $100 million headwind to a $100 million benefit in the fourth quarter. According to Benzinga Pro, analysts expect ExxonMobil to report fourth quarter adjusted earnings per share of $1.67 on revenue of $81.43 billion. ExxonMobil updated its corporate plan through 2030, forecasting an increase of $5 billion in earnings and cash flow growth with no capital spending increases. Earnings growth is projected to average 13% per year through 2030, with double-digit cash flow growth and even higher per share growth driven by ongoing share repurchases. The company also increased its cumulative structural cost savings plan by $2 billion to a total of $20 billion, and said it expects all 2030 corporate GHG emissions intensity plans to be achieved in 2026. So I know a lot of these oil names, they've had kind of a wild couple of days here. As far as the one that I ended up trying to trade here is ConocoPhillips. I think that they have a different levers that are affecting that price than ExxonMobil here. But ExxonMobil basically telling you that might be some headwinds on the way, even with what's going on down south. Next here, this is one of the data center plays, and we've talked quite a bit about data centers, how they affect it. This one stood out to me because I know we have several people that join the show that are from or currently live in the Grand Rapids area. Microsoft has come forward as the company behind a contentious $1 billion data center project in Michigan Township, a revelation that follows local pushback and speculation. The Satya Nadella-led company's cloud infrastructure team was disclosed as the entity interested in a 237-acre plot near Interstate 96 in Lowell Charter Township. The township, home to approximately 6,500 residents, is situated 20 miles southeast of Grand Rapids. In a letter made public on Wednesday, Microsoft said it was reaching out after noticing the community's desire for more information about the proposal and emphasized the importance of being transparent about its plans going forward. Quote, "We asked the seller to pause the rezone process so that we could spend time with the community early this year and share more about our potential long-term plans before we proceed." Now, just as a quick aside here, I would imagine that the community's biggest concerns are what's going to happen to our energy prices. It's great that you're building a gigantic data center here, but the regular individual likely can't afford exponentially higher energy prices. The disclosure followed weeks of speculation about the company's involvement with Franklin Partners on the controversial project. The Illinois-based developer had earlier said it was working with a U.S.-based national firm to build data center on the site. The township said the project could bring $500 million to $1 billion in investment over 3 to 5 years, with the Planning Commission scheduled to meet again on January 12th. Residents raised concerns over the swift rezoning of the land, especially about the energy demands of the facility, prompting planners to postpone a public hearing on the proposal during a December commission meeting. After the meeting was canceled, local officials temporarily paused the project. And I think that we're probably going to be seeing more of this. And this is, one of the reasons I want to see how this all shakes out here. I personally, like where I live, haven't dealt with anything like this. But to be quite honest with you, that's probably only a matter of time at this point. Microsoft's involvement in the project comes amid the company's significant expansion in the cloud and artificial intelligence sector. In November of 2025, the tech giant announced a $10 billion investment to build an AI data center in Portugal, as they say. This was followed by a massive super factory in Atlanta to power OpenAI and Elon Musk's xAI. In December of 2025, Microsoft committed billions of dollars to expand its cloud and AI footprint in Canada. So this story's not over. We're going to be seeing more of this. I'm curious to see how this all shakes out. I guess I am a little bit surprised that the entire project was paused. A new era that we're living in here. A new era. If anyone is around this area, around the Grand Rapids area, anyone that's here so far, I'd love to get your opinion on it, as you're more local to it anyway. One of the other themes that we have been talking about here has been the memory or the DRAM price increases. That leads to our next story here. SK Hynix, Samsung Electronics, and Micron Technology are leading a strong rally in semiconductor stocks as artificial intelligence demand continues to tighten the global memory market. Micron Technology is up over 242% in the last 12 months, reflecting investor optimism around memory chips that power AI systems. Memory sits at the heart of AI computing, as CNBC reported. Thanks, CNBC, for reporting that. South Korea's top memory chip producers are posting solid gains in 2026, with SK Hynix up around 11.5% and Samsung Electronics advancing nearly 16% year to date. Micron has climbed about 16.3% over the same period. Chips used to train and run models from companies like NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices rely heavily on high-performance memory. As big tech pours billions into AI data centers, that supply remains tight. The pressure is most visible in DRAM, a key memory component used in AI servers. DRAM prices surged in 2025 and are expected to rise another 40% through the second quarter of 2026. That is according to Counterpoint Research. Analysts told CNBC that memory, not logic chips, is actually driving the semiconductor rally. Now, this supply-demand imbalance is giving memory giants significant pricing power. We're seeing that reflected in the stocks that we trade here. Samsung has raised prices on key memory chips by as much as 60% since September, capitalizing on tight supply and panic ordering from customers scrambling to secure inventory. In fact, I actually just spoke with a buddy last week. I believe it was Friday. He reached out to me because he's building a new computer and he had ordered these parts a while ago. And he said, "This is the craziest thing. I think I spent like $120 for the RAM package that he got for his computer." He's like, "I've been hearing about all of this stuff. I went and looked that up. That same package is selling for like $200, nearly a 100% price increase." And the timeline he gave me was just a couple of months ago. He bought some of these components. Just wild stuff there. Reuters reported that Samsung delayed its usual pricing update before rolling out these hikes. The AI-driven shortage is pushing up costs for server makers and could continually raise prices for consumer electronics like smartphones and PCs. Panic buying has rippled across the supply chain. Boy, we've seen that before, haven't we? GPUs, toilet paper during COVID, forcing some customers to delay purchases of other semiconductor components. Higher prices are strengthening Samsung's economic outlook, and the rivals are benefiting from similar dynamics. SK Hynix said surging AI demand has pushed it into full-blown memory supercycle, with its entire chip supply for next year already being sold out. The company plans to begin shipping next-generation HBM4 chips in the fourth quarter and has secured customer orders of all its DRAM, HBM, and NAND production through 2026. SK Hynix also disclosed a letter of intent to supply memory to OpenAI, highlighting its deepening role. To keep pace, the company plans to significantly boost capital spending next year, even as trade restrictions add pressure to its China operations. Meanwhile, Micron is investing aggressively to capture long-term AI-driven growth. The company will break ground in January 2026 on a massive New York megafab. The campus could eventually house up to 4 fabs, making it the largest semiconductor facility in the U.S. Micron says the expansion positions it to meet surging AI memory demand while reinforcing its status as the only U.S.-based memory chip manufacturer. So it looks like the memory theme and trade and all of those stocks moving. Oh, man, that is not going to slow down. Doesn't look like it anytime soon here. Now, in another story here, and I was kind of alluding to this in the open, the real AI crisis is compute shortage, not a bubble. And this comes from Daniel Newman. Those calling for a bubble don't understand what's happening, end quote. Speaking at CES 2026, Futurum Group CEO Daniel Newman dismissed growing concerns of an artificial intelligence market bubble, arguing instead that the industry faces a far more tangible crisis, a severe global outage of compute power necessary to sustain a multi-decade supercycle. Quote, those calling for a bubble really don't understand what's happening, end quote. He posits that the current market frenzy is merely the preliminary stage of a long-term technological shift. According to Newman, the rapid rise of agentic AI systems capable of executing complex autonomous actions rather than just generating text will soon spike compute intensity to unsustainable levels. Quote, we don't have enough turbines. And I stopped right there because y'all remember who's been talking about turbines for 2026? That's our boy 13. Our boy 13. Be sure to give him a hat tip or a hearty pat on the back when he comes on here. I will remind him of this. In fact, let me copy and paste this so that I'm not hunting for this quote when it becomes relevant later. We can't build what the demand is for what people are doing today, Newman warned. He predicts that as demand fully activates over the next 5 to 10 years, the technology sector will face a critical hardware shortage. And then for anyone that wants this, the video that he tweeted on X, that's going to be in the story here. I'm not going to play the video here, but if you want it, it's in there for you. Newman highlighted 2026 as the inflection point where enterprise AI will show its face, moving the narrative beyond consumer chatbots to substantial corporate returns on investment. He noted that the industry is currently utilizing only a small percentage of available trained data, with the vast majority still locked inside proprietary corporate systems used for drug discovery, manufacturing, and supply chain optimization. This shift aligns with broader market sentiment that the industry is transitioning from the capital-intensive build phase of training models to the monetization phase of inference, where AI begins delivering measurable margin improvements and productivity gains. I guess we're still kind of waiting to see what those productivity gains are. We just talked about how some studies actually show that AI reduces productivity. Looks like we did have some data here, so let me actually just take a quick second and report that. Producer, I don't know if you have the ability to throw it up on screen for anyone that might join late, but here we go. Challenger job cuts for December, 35,533. That's down 8% year over year. U.S. initial jobless claims, 208,000 versus the 213,000 estimate, so that's coming in 5,000 lighter than the estimate. Non-farm productivity quarter over quarter for Q3 was 4.9 versus the 4.9 estimate. U.S. continuing jobless claims, 1914 versus the 1900 estimate. U.S. October trade balance, minus 29.4 billion versus the minus 58 billion. U.S. continuing jobless claims prior was revised from 1866 to 1858. Quick peek at the futures here. It looks like the market ticked up a little bit and then ticked down a little bit. S&P is sitting at minus 0.13%. So it's actually slightly higher than when we started the show here, but still all of the indices under pressure here. Go back to the actual story here. Let me catch myself. Yep, sorry. I just wanted to get that out there. Again, if we need to throw those numbers there in the chat, we can do that as well. Back to the story here regarding the year of enterprise return on investment, the shift aligns with the broader market monetization phase. Sorry. To illustrate the sheer scale of the current activity, Newman pointed to a staggering metric. Alphabet is now generating 10 trillion tokens daily. On a practical level, he cited his firm's own operational efficiency, noting that AI has compressed complex market research workflows that previously took 6 months into just 2 weeks. Quote, we are very early. Quote, we are very early, end quote. Newman concluded and emphasized that despite the skeptics, the area of significant AI monetization and durability has only just begun. There's a link of the different AI stocks here, ETFs, AI-linked ETFs. That's in the story that I just put in there a second ago. Okay, one more thing. This is another kind of a follow-up to a recent theme that we have been discussing for the purpose of trades and all of that. Another shoe is dropped here in the Warner Brothers Discovery Netflix Paramount Skydance saga. Mass media conglomerate Warner Brothers Discovery's chairman Samuel DiPiazza reaffirmed the company's commitment to its merger agreement with Netflix, brushing aside recent efforts from Paramount Skydance despite Larry Ellison's personal guarantee of backing the rival bid. DiPiazza said that Warner Brothers management was sticking with Netflix because they have a signed merger agreement with the streaming giant. He did this while appearing on CNBC's Squawk Box yesterday. Besides this, he said that the deal offers compelling value, a clear path to closing, and significant protections for shareholders if something stops the close, whatever that might be. While acknowledging Ellison's increased involvement in the deal, he said, yes, Larry Ellison stepped up to the table and the board recognizes what he did, but DiPiazza maintained that the Paramount offer lacked key elements, including a higher price. Quote, ultimately, he didn't raise the price, end quote. He said, adding from the management's perspective, quote, Netflix continues to be the superior offer, end quote. Critics of the Netflix deal have argued that regulatory headwinds, particularly in Europe, could stall or sink the merger, to which DiPiazza responded saying, quote, we continue to believe that both sides of the deal have a path to being approved. He also emphasized the longer-term financial risks associated with a leveraged buyout structure like Skydance's. Quote, the entire sector is under stress, highlighting potential difficulties in debt refinancing and future market conditions 15 to 18 months down the line. Quote, we've got a deal signed with the investment-grade $400 billion company, end quote. He said, along with $5.8 billion break-free that, frankly, has no challenge against it. That refers to the amount that Netflix has to pay Warner if the deal falls through for any reason. Now, the deal does face significant antitrust roadblocks. The deal with Netflix is set to face regulatory hurdles with anti-monopolists. I don't think I've ever read that word. Anti-monopolists such as Matt Stoller of the American Economic Liberties Project pushing back while calling it a disaster for America, end quote, and would effectively hold a noose around the theatrical marketplace if approved. It seems a little bit like hyperbole to me, but let me know what you folks think on that. U.S. lawmakers, as well as Hollywood unions, have raised concerns with the multi-billion-dollar proposed transaction facing bipartisan pushback. Even President Trump has said that he will be playing a more direct role in reviewing the deal, saying, quote, I'll be involved in that decision, end quote, while noting that combined entities would command a very big market share, which he said could be a problem. So I guess one of the things that we have been talking about here is that as far as a trade goes, like I would want this to kind of be out of the way, right? So let's actually go to the Netflix chart because I think that this is probably the target that most would want to trade. Let me know if I'm right or if I'm off base on that. Would you rather trade Netflix than Warner Brothers Discovery? I know I would. Nonetheless, here, one of the things that we have been talking about, we actually had a couple of levels here. I think we had between 80 and 86. This actually goes back to some of these recent lows that we had back in March. We also have the 500-day moving average right here at about $89. Stock price is 90.37 here in the pre-market. Netflix is down about 0.5% here today. What I really want to see is how does it interact with this? In a perfect world, the best possible scenario would be a break, and then within 3 days, a recapture of this. Then I think maybe we could start trading up to some of these other moving average lines. But as we've been kind of covering here, the death cross that we just got happened early December, about a month ago. And I'm not sure that this has fully played out yet. So let me know what you folks think the ad spot is for Netflix. Do we add right down here? Lion, I know you've said, I don't know if it's on Netflix. I know you've said this about other stocks, but you might have said this about Netflix as well. You're a fan of dollar cost averaging. So sounds to me like long-term, you think this is going to be good. You're not even going to waste time trying to nail the bottom here. Instead, you're just going to try and add to your position as the price moves lower. Let me know what you think about these levels, though. Do we like 89, 88? Do we wait more for 80? Does it bounce right here? I would say that for me, swing long here, maybe with options, maybe just a little bit of stock, a break of the 500 and a recapture. That's what I'd really be looking for. I'd feel pretty good about that. And then I would just continually raise my stop until that little rally was over. That wouldn't necessarily be a long term. Lion here says, yes, I'm adding to my Netflix. So you're dollar cost averaging your Netflix, and do you have any key support spots for us or anything like that? I would imagine you probably don't have a target because you have a longer term view on that. But let me know. This is what the Netflix chart looks like on all of that. Okay. We can probably also do, you know what? I did want to really quickly cover Bitcoin. We talked about this a lot yesterday. Here, let's go to this real quick. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Dogecoin all pull back. Analysts say the crypto market is still in a downtrend, but find no reason for it to fall lower. Famous last words? Maybe? Question mark. Day trader, I'd love to get your opinion on what you think overall the Bitcoin market is going to do here. Maybe crypto market is going to do here. You might like others more than Bitcoin. Curious. Leading cryptocurrencies fell alongside stocks on Wednesday as investors cashed out following recent rallies. This is important because we've talked about Bitcoin being a risk on or off indicator. Bitcoin actually down here another 1.2% here this morning. So that, with the market being down, sure looks like we're a bit risk off here. Bitcoin slipped beneath 91,000 in the afternoon trading before pairing some of its overnight losses. Bitcoin futures right now at 90,130, so it's actually still under that 91K level. Trading volume for the apex cryptocurrency plunged 22% over the past 24 hours. Ethereum dipped to around 3,100 after surpassing 3,300 earlier this week. Bitcoin's dominance hovered around 58%, while Ethereum's market share was largely unchanged at 12.2%. Roughly 285 million was liquidated from the cryptocurrency market in the last 24 hours, according to CoinGlass, with 241 million in long liquidations alone. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's open interest surged nearly 4% in the last 24 hours. An increase in open interest, along with a decrease in spot price, typically indicates new short positions are being built. The fear sentiment persisted in the market, according to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. The global cryptocurrency's market capitalization stood at $3.13 trillion, following a drop of 1.87% in the last 24 hours. Sorry, guys, don't have my A game today. I apologize to all of you personally for that. Stocks retreated from record highs on Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average pulled back 466 points, or about 1%, to end at 48,996. The S&P 500 fell about a third of 1% to end at 6920, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ was the outlier, lifting by 0.16%. Energy stocks continue to decline, with Chevron, ExxonMobil closing down. And then here, this is the other part that I wanted to get to. In a note shared with Benzinga, analysts at cryptocurrency payment companies B2B and Pay said that despite recent advances, the market remains in a downtrend. Quote, the growth is likely to continue because in the current environment, there's simply no reason for the market to fall lower, end quote. Pointing out factors such as leveraged reset during the October 2025 crash. Quote, starting a bearish phase right now makes little sense as bear markets usually begin at highs, end quote. Meanwhile, widely followed cryptocurrency analyst Ali Martinez said that Bitcoin needs a daily close outside of 88,000 to 94,000 to confirm the trend direction. So right there, that's great because it gives us our key levels here. 88,000 on the downside, 94,000 on the upside. We shall see which one we get. I love that even amongst our community here, there's a lot of back and forth here. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Bitcoin's been a lot of fun since it started here. I'm curious to see where this all goes, and I'd love to get your folks' opinion here. Day trader, I had asked you, appreciate getting back to me here. We are still not beyond the October liquidation fallout. I believe we are basing before another markup next month or so. Okay, so if you think that it's basing here, do you kind of agree with this? Like, it doesn't necessarily have a reason to fall lower and maybe the next move is up. I don't want to speculate for you. I just want to make sure I'm understanding your position. Okay. All right. That's pretty good with Bitcoin. All right. I do really quickly want to cover a couple of tweets. So let's go ahead and jump into our street tweets segment. Oh, might not have the producer. I'll take care of it myself. All right, street tweets. One of the big tweets that we got yesterday, I guess maybe it wasn't a tweet because it came on Truth Social, but it came from Trump here. I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. Now, we actually had a discussion about this yesterday. Obviously, this is going to affect home builders and home buying related stocks. A really quick list: mortgage origination like Rocket, that was higher. UWMC would be another mortgage originator. Then you have the builders aspect of this, like TOL, Toll Brothers, Pulte Homes, PHM. You have DR Horton in there. You have KB Homes in there. You have Lennar in there. And first things first here, we very clearly need to solve the housing issue in this country. On the surface, just reading this and taking it for what it's worth, I think this is awesome. People live in these homes. There's a place for investment on that, but not at the expense of families trying to live their lives out in homes. Now, as with everything, the devil's going to be in the details here. We had this discussion a lot yesterday on Happy Hour, both with industry experts and non-experts, and there were a lot of really good questions being asked. Number one, how do you actually monitor this? How do you enforce this? I don't have an answer for that. And then the other thing is, this is going to affect different companies more so than others. And the real estate expert we had on yesterday was saying that some of the companies actually break this down in their reporting, others do not. And I think that this is actually going to make for some pretty interesting earnings calls coming up. And Felicia, if you're out there, sorry for name dropping you here, but we are so appreciative of using your industry expertise and then breaking it down for us on Happy Hour. This story's not going away. This is going to have some implications going forward, and I think we're going to start seeing them here in 2026. But this absolutely. Anne Marie, welcome back, Anne Marie. We had a couple of people asking if you were going to be back this week, and I'm pleased to say yes, we are. Veggie Girl says this is great news. I agree. Like I said, I reserve the right to change my opinion on this because the devils are all in the details. But again, on the surface, hard to not like this. Hard to not like this. And I think also, obviously, there are going to be stuff for us to trade here. My immediate knee-jerk reaction here, positive for mortgage origination, negative for home builders, right? We definitely need to increase the supply of homes in this country, but if investment companies are not buying as many, maybe home builders are not as profitable. On the flip side of that, if more families and people are trying to buy homes, we should anticipate having higher mortgage origination, and that should be good for those companies. So I know we had a long swing last year on Rocket that ended up being a really good one. Looks like this is still going to be in play here. So that is your first tweet here. The second one here, I want to get the group's opinion on this for sure. This is from First Squawk. Polymarket and Dow Jones partner to display prediction market data in content. Now, one of the reasons I'm highlighting this is because we asked you folks if you wanted to have a prediction market, maybe kind of a very short segment here where we review some of the hot or trending prediction market bets. But on a larger note here, I'm also not sure how I feel about this too. I was talking with the producer before we went live here today, and we're both kind of just amazed at how crazy this prediction market stuff is going. He was sharing a story about how there's a lot of encouragement for people to make daily bets on things that they have no control over. I know Dave Ramsey has said that betting, in particular sports betting, I don't know if he shares this opinion on prediction markets. I'm certainly not going to try and speak for him. But I know that he has often said before that gambling has actually hurt some of our youth in this country. To me, it seems like if we're just promoting more and more and more of the prediction market data, it might blur those lines a little bit more. The other aspect of this is that it is very, very clear that prediction markets are, and all of this stuff, this is not slowing down. This has been a freight train in one direction, all gas, no brakes, and doesn't show any signs of hitting the brakes here soon. I'll leave you with this. I'm happy to take a look at a couple of prediction market things. I don't see any universe where prediction market bets are going to end up being a better financial decision for people en masse than smart, educated investing. To me, this seems like gambling a lot of times. Seems like there could be an incredibly slippery slope on this, and that does worry me a little bit. We've talked a lot about this before. Would you include prediction market bets in your broker? Would you like to use the same money that you use for investing and trading on prediction markets? Not something I would ever do. I am definitely a little bit more conservative when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, when I sports bet, I bet $10 at a time. So even if I go on a really terrible run, I'm never really going to be hurt. I don't know how I feel about this, but there's no way that I can control any of this. I'd be very curious to hear what the group thinks about some of this. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. I'm going to get a couple of let me actually go back to the chart here. Hopefully got feed. Yes, Izzy, I addressed that. Be sure to be here tomorrow. I should be able to get a finalized decision on all of that. I know you folks are waiting for that, so let me know. Smell says, yes, that would be great. I think you're referring to a prediction market segment. Prediction market similar to movers. We can start incorporating that. Unpopular truth, it looks like you like that as well. H&H Tactical says, I think the weather prediction market is wild. Oh, man. This is interesting. Flag Drone says, as a 25-year plus broker, we've never competed more with institutional buyers as much as the last 2 years. I hope they include private hard money groups in that they buy the heaviest in smaller markets. Okay. Mo says, I don't like it at all. Seems like manipulation is too easy. You know what? I didn't even think about manipulation, but you actually bring up a really good point there. Yeah, and we would be selective on that for sure. Day Trader thinks that this is a net negative to society. You're not the only person with that opinion. We're seeing more and more of that. Again, it was just kind of, I think you're very similar to Dave Ramsey, actually. Jane Smith says, I'm a hard no. Okay. Kenneth says $5 is my max. Honestly, that's what keeps me safe with betting. That's why I've never really had a problem. Keep it small. It's never really an issue. Frozen King says Polymarket is too easy to be manipulated. How many army-related people were able to make money on the VZ military action? I don't have data for that. I don't know, but that brings up a good point. I used to spend all my money on sports bets for about 3 years. I noticed a bad repeating pattern and started to invest instead. Man, what a difference it made. Tyler, man, this is so great. This is awesome. There's a number of really awesome things about here. First of all, I think the most important thing, you were able to realize this yourself and change it yourself. That is a model for everyone else out there. If Tyler can do it, so too can you. I think this is a really mature and a really smart move. I've been a big proponent of investing as early as you can in life. I know a lot of younger kids really like sports. They shouldn't bet at all. They should instead invest. Buy stocks that pay dividends for I mean, it just, don't even be risky with it. Just invest. Get your money growing as early as possible. I've said this before in other forums. I'll repeat it here. Just my general outlook on life is I try to live life with no regrets. I try to not look backwards and always look forward. The one thing, though, over the course of my life that I think that I wish I could have done differently, I wish I could have invested at an earlier age. I would talk to my parents about it at a much earlier age. I was successful in convincing them to make some investments, unsuccessful in others. I should have just been doing this on my own. I'm thankful that I was able to finally kind of turn that around and figure it out. Tyler, I'm thankful that you were able to do that too. And I'm thrilled that you're already seeing a difference for that. That's absolutely fantastic. Okay. There was a 400K winner on the Maduro capture. Would imagine that was an insider. I would imagine that's the case too. Kenneth, it sounds like you and me have the exact same opinion on this. The sports betting for me, it's just entertainment. And yes, there's a possibility that maybe you get a little financial incentive at the end if you win. But the reality is that I look at it as entertainment. Let me ask you, Kenneth, when you spend your hard-earned money on entertainment, you don't expect to get that money back. You spend it on something within your budget for a purpose, and that's part of enjoying life. And that's how I look at this. The other thing is, I know I'm in the minority here. A bunch of my friends bust my balls about this all the time. Most of the time, I would rather watch a sporting event from home. My couch is comfortable. My food and drink selection is better and cheaper than at the stadium. And I love watching it with friends. So I often have good company as well. And so for me, I'm not spending money on tickets and overpriced concessions and copious amounts of alcohol. And instead, I spend a couple of bucks on a couple of sports bets. To me, I actually think that's a little bit better. But just to kind of go back to your main point, it's all about entertainment. It's all about entertainment. It's not a job or anything like that. So, okay. Anyway, really good stuff there. I saw a couple of those tweets and I was like, yeah, I want to get some opinions from the group. And of course, the group did not let us down here again. Okay. Let's see. All right. We are just a couple of minutes from pre-market pulse. There were a couple of charts that I wanted to take a look at. Oh, you know what? We'll start here with Ondas. We talked a little bit about the military defense theme. We talked about the posts that Trump made yesterday and some of the wild swings that it had. I suspect that it probably affected some of these stocks as well. It is worth noting here, Ondas actually up another 9% in the pre-market on no news, right? So there's nothing new here today. This is just some continuation. For anyone that is in this stock, awesome. I hope that you're making money off of it. Nothing has changed on my end. The last trim level was 12. The next trim level is 15. I'm not making any adjustments on it, but this is actually having a nice start to the day. The other thing I will say is that we've seen this very stock move higher in the pre-market and then reverse in the regular session. So if you're going to trade this on the short term, just remember what we've seen out of this stock in the past. It may do something similar to that. We've also seen it rip, right? We've also seen it rip. So just be careful with this. I would not chase the green candles. I would add on weekdays, sell into strength. Same thing here. But this is moving today on no news so far. There was another request. I can't remember who it was from. I'm sorry about that, but someone had asked to take a look at NVIDIA. I think we should absolutely do that here real quick. We've talked a lot about big cap tech kind of having a rotation out of big cap tech, NVIDIA really been sideways here since the end of December. To me, it sure looks like it's trying to make up its mind. Let me actually extend this trend line out a little bit. This is one that we have added before. We may interact with that if we do trade up here. Otherwise, sure seems to me that this 186.79 or 187, if you want to call it that 50-day moving average, that's going to be a pretty key support. Likewise, for the 183.86 level that corresponds to the 20-day moving average beneath it. Let me know what the group thinks on this. We talked a lot about AI. We still understand that AI is going to be a driver here in 2026. It does not appear to be slowing down. NVIDIA, Jensen Huang is sometimes called the godfather of AI. So let me know what you think here on NVIDIA. Are you long, short? I know we talk a lot about Google and some of the other stocks that are that move on this. But let me know what you think here on NVIDIA. To me, this looks like sideways action until we pick a direction. We're also, if I zoom out here a little bit, yeah, look at this. We are basically right at going all the way back to what do I have on the chart here? May of 2025. So basically all of last year to today. The volume point of control is right here at 182.78. We're at 189. We're basically right there. So I don't think NVIDIA has chosen its next direction. Okay. It's time. It's time for the pre-market pulse segment. Let's go ahead and do that and bring on 13. What? All right. 13. Why don't I have a camera for 13? Oh, that might be frozen. 13 might be frozen. 13 is frozen. We might have had a computer crash there. Okay, we'll bring him back. And I apologize about the bumper being played twice there. Producer, we're going to have to work something out. We're going to have to come up with a system because we are failing in our first week here, without a doubt. Okay, we'll wait and see if we can get 13 back on. I'm sure we'll be able to do that. I promise you this is not a joke. Like, we actually do have plans to bring him on here. I think it's probably a computer issue that he's dealing with. Might end up getting a text message here in a sec. My internet just dropped. We should expect 13 back here pretty soon. That pesky internet. Okay, let me know what we'll do instead while we wait for him. Let's just do ticker time as we normally do. Are there any stocks that you folks want to take a look at that we have not? Mo, you're awesome. Are there any stocks that you folks want to take a look at in the meantime? EKS, you had mentioned Google here rose 1.52% in the pre-market after becoming the world's second most valuable company, surpassing Apple. Okay. All right, let's take a look at some of these. I got a couple of them. Thank you. H&H Tactical, Semel, Tyler. All right. Yeah, I'm sure we've got more than I can go through now. That's awesome. H&H Tactical, you were talking about OCS. Isn't this expecting some news or something like that? Let me see what was going on here. I think you posted about this. Oculus to showcase transformative late-stage pipeline in ophthalmology and ophthalmology at the 2026 JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. That starts, so they're presenting on the 14th, but I'm pretty sure that conference starts today. Let me see here. No, excuse me. Starts the 12th. I beg your pardon. So this is actually next week. So the 44th annual JP Morgan Healthcare Conference starts on Monday next week. The ticker here that H&H Tactical is asking about, they actually present on the 16th, it looks like, or excuse me, on the 14th. Boy, I can't get these dates right to save my life. And they're going to showcase their late-stage pipeline. So you should definitely expect some movement out of this. We've seen this already with some of the other names. This, again, should do it. And this is going to be 1:30. Oh, wow. So Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific. That's what, 3:30 Eastern? So that's right before close. Interesting. I don't actually follow this company, so I'm not sure what's in their pipeline that they're going to talk about. Let me see if I can really quickly scan it here. Here we go. Oculus' most advanced product candidate, OCS 01, is currently in phase 3 development and aims to be the first eye drop for diabetic macular edema, or DME. The DME population is estimated to be about 1.8 million and currently represents a $3 billion market opportunity. Okay, so this is going to be pretty important. Whatever comes out of here is going to be pretty important. This is actually a really good heads up. Wednesday, shortly before the close, they're actually going to start their presentation. You know, what's interesting about this is that if they don't actually start to talk or report something meaningful till the after hours, you might actually get more fireworks on this name, because in the after hours, stocks can't be halted and all of that. That actually may set up for a wild afternoon. I'm sorry. Thank you, day trader. 1:30 Pacific time is 4:30 Eastern, so it's going to be in the after hours. Okay. Like I said, I don't have my A game here today. I appreciate all of the assists from you folks here in the chat. Looking at the chart now, see what we have here on the chart. So actually not a bad looking chart here. Very clearly, we're dealing with the 22 resistance. In fact, we're dealing with that right now here in the pre-market. Stock's exactly at 22. We do have a recent high here at 23.18. That actually looks like that was the all-time high based on the chart as well. Pretty nice looking chart here. I would say this is just one of those binary events, right? This is either going to be good or bad. I would say if there's not a whole lot of reaction to whatever they present, this is probably going to continue its slow grind higher. Maybe we end up pulling back. If they give bad data or they have a bad update, maybe look for that 1876. Okay. Let's see. I see him moving. So let's try this again here. I'll take care of it, producer. Let's go ahead and start our pre-market pulse segment. Good morning, 13. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Sorry about the internet trouble. It seems like the internet in my whole house is out. I don't know why. I'm not going to figure it out right now. So I'm tethered to my phone. We're gonna do this. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Later.
Yep. You should apologize because it's entirely your fault that your internet dropped. So that makes.
I paid the bill.
I paid the bill. I swear. Okay. We did lose a couple of minutes here. This segment, we've really kind of pushed it till the end the last couple of days. So let's just go ahead and get started with some of these movers. I'm going to flip over to my movers tool here in Benzinga Pro. Folks that had suggested other tickers, I am going to make notes of some of these. So we already did NVIDIA. We just did OCS. FLYX, I will add to the list. Broadcom will probably end up looking at that anyway. Silver, we can add that as well. And then I think the rest of these here, Acon's going to be on the movers list. I think the rest of these are actually going to be maybe not VRT, ACN, ASPI. Let me add AS. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all these folks. But we will try. And then ACN. Okay, let's go ahead and just get started with the movers tool here. We'll start with FLYX, which is one of those stocks that folks want to take a look at here. This is Fly Exclusive. Fly Exclusive shares are trading higher after the company was named an authorized Starlink aviation dealer. Now, is this private? Yeah, private aviation. So this is one of the private aviation companies. They're going to have Starlink on there. This seems like a no-brainer here. Stock, obviously, or the market obviously loves this. Stock's trading up by almost 100%. I don't know if it should be up almost 100%, but moved from 325 up to 7, where it found some resistance. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. 9.66% of the float shorted with 16.32 days to cover. At days to cover is a little bit high, but that comes on an average volume of 20,000 shares. And today we've traded 25 million shares. So I don't think that we're going to have any worry from the days to cover metric. There is still some short interest here. So maybe that plays into it. Float on this one. Sorry, I clicked away too fast. Float on this one, just shy of 2.5 million. 13, what do you think here on FLYX?
Well, I'd like to see this happen with more large aircraft carriers. Not like the ships, but the like United and Southwest. That'd be great if we had all those on there, because I'd like to have Starlink access.
Tell
But
me about it.
anyway,
I was going to say I don't fly privates. This doesn't really affect me. I want it on the commercial jets.
Yeah, they have like only around like 100 aircraft. This company that they so you know that's great and everything. It's a good start, and we'll probably end up seeing a lot more of this with Starlink. The company does have 2 to 3 quarters of cash. They're not yet profitable, but OpEx is dropping, so that's a good sign. As far as the chart goes, this is now trying to hold above VWAP. We did go up all the way to 703. That's when it was over 100%. Since then, we started to come back in. Now, if we do hold up here at VWAP, then we're going to want to see a recapture. I'm looking at 670, 675. That's the area I'm looking forward to get back above and continue climbing. Maybe this goes to 8 if that happens, and we manage to clear 7. So I'll be looking towards 8 if we do get beyond 7. But first things first, got to hold above VWAP here and recapture that 670 area. If that doesn't happen, this could fall pretty well, maybe down to about $4.50, $5. If VWAP doesn't hold up. MACD is indicating that is rolling over. So whether or not it holds up here, I'm gonna have to wait and see. This one might just kind of go a little bit sideways into the open, but we still have 20 minutes left before we open, so a lot can happen between now and then.
Yeah, indeed. And right now it's sitting right on the VWAP, so we'll see if this holds it here or if we end up breaking down, moving to the next level there. All right, good stuff there, 13. Next one here is, but this comment, I like this. Cam says, from all the movies I've seen, flying private is the way to go. Yeah, that sounds about right, Cam. That sounds about right, Cam. Abdul says, I don't think it will hold. So there you go. There's one prediction. FLYX does not think the VWAP will hold there. If so, we'll see if we'll come into any of those other support levels. The next stock on our list here is going to be Moon Lake. This is ticker MLTX. Moon Lake immunotherapeutic shares are trading higher after the company said FDA feedback confirmed it may establish a substantial evidence for effectiveness for hydradenitis without additional clinical trials. Okay, so I'm actually not familiar with the disorder that they're talking about here, but nonetheless, it looks like FDA feedback confirmed it can establish substantial evidence of effectiveness. That's driving this stock higher here, holding higher by 41%. Looks like the impulse move took us up to about 17.5. We've backed off that, lost VWAP, traded down to the 15 EMA. We've bounced from there. Didn't quite test the 65 EMA yet. We'll see. The thing now, and 13, I'm sure you're already seeing this too. Now we have a trend line. Take a look at break above that. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. 13.73% of the float shorted with 2.45 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 2.7 million, but today we've done 7.6 million prior to the open. And the float on this one is about 35.5 million. So I know we've traded MLTX before. 13, what do you think about this chart and what's going on here?
Well, the FDA basically telling them that their drug is so good, I guess we'll just say, that it doesn't necessitate additional clinical trials in order to prove its effectiveness and safety. So that's a big money savings move right there. Right now, I'm looking at the chart, and it looks like it's trying to move higher, like break out of that trend line that you just drew. So if we get that volume expansion here, it's gonna go. And first area of resistance is gonna be about 1650 from right here. We get past that. I mean, 1742 is the high in the pre-market. That we're certainly going to be wanting to look at 17 and then 1750 next. But how high can this go? I don't think I really got a good look at that. There's a big gap that we're filling right now from September. So I don't think that we're going to completely fill that all the way, but it'd be interesting to see how far we get. My instinct tells me that we're probably going to end up, if we continue to climb higher from here, might run into about $24. I would say is probably where the big resistance is going to be. We are coming up to some pretty hefty resistance around 18. So that would be my next two big areas to get through. For there's going to be some more upside in MLT is 18 and 24. And I don't even know if we're going to get to 24, to be honest.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to take notes again here. Can you give me the numbers again, the resistance areas?
18 and 24. We are moving over that trend line right now that you drew. Need to see some better volume with this, though. This is not the kind of breakout that I'd like to see. Need to have more volume and some elevation into this move here. So we'll see if we end up getting some more of this before we open. Otherwise, I think we could come back in.
Okay. All right, really good stuff there. That is MLTX. Next on the list here, NVVE. This is Nuve Holdings. This is one that we have definitely traded before. And guess what? This had a pretty decent day yesterday. If we just draw a trend line here through a couple of the highs, we got a target here for today. We'll see if we end up doing that. Let's see if we had news on this one. I actually hadn't looked at this here today. We do. Nuve regains compliance with NASDAQ's minimum bid price rule and the minimum stockholder equity rule. We've seen this before. For whatever reason, this theme seems to drive some of these little movers here. Not the greatest, but stocks up by 31% here. Quick peek at the short interest on this. 12.24% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Comes on an average volume of 2.3 million shares. Today, it's traded 3 million shares. Float on this is 1.2, though, so it's right in our butter zone of being able to trade it. 13, what do you think of my trend line, and what do you think of some of the spots here on NVVE?
That trend line looks nice. Great spot for us to shoot for, and it's not too far away from there. This is a great lesson because we've looked at so many of these different stocks that have done this, where they get a warning or a notice from NASDAQ, or in some cases the NYSE if they're on that exchange, that they're not in compliance with being listed on the exchange. So that could be anything from having a minimum stockholder equity or a minimum bid price. That could be, there's a number of things that can get them dinged for compliance. And they were getting the hit with that. So usually what you see with these kind of companies that are not in compliance is they need to do a reverse split and they need to raise capital. That's exactly what this one did. In December, I believe on the 15th, they did a reverse split, and then they raised capital by issuing a private placement Series A preferred stock and warrants. So boxes checked, we're good to go. NASDAQ compliance back in favor. So here we are starting the new year with this company regaining compliance, and up it goes. Let me see if I can give you some levels here. Because I didn't look at this one this morning, but this wasn't really hard to figure out what's happening here. Like the news is right in front of your face. Okay, so yeah, I do like that trend line. Let's see where else this can go to. So maybe 530 you run into some issues. Let me look at a daily chart here, see if I see anything else. Okay, so it looks like there is a little bit of a gap fill that could potentially happen here. We're not too far away from it. That's going to be about 540 to 660 that we get a gap fill, and that's going to be from December 10th to 11th. And this was, interestingly, that's all before the reverse split too, I believe. I'd have to double check the dates, but if this was from the reverse split, then that makes sense too. But this was all this downside here was all during that reverse split capital raise time, and now here we are taking off. We could possibly fill that gap. So, like I said, from about 540 to 660, that's where that gap fills.
Okay. Really good breakdown there. We got some pretty key levels. I'll be honest with you. 520-ish is where I have the trend line. You had mentioned maybe 530. Then we had that 540 to 660 gap fill. We got some pretty clear areas on NVVE right above us. So, okay.
Yeah, but it's those upper shadows aren't looking too great. So it's struggling. But let's see what we end up getting out of the open too. Maybe we sell off first.
Okay. Next one here is going to be Acon. This is another stock that we've traded a bunch of times before from some of the morning PRs, gaps, and then also off the relative volume scanner. This is a Clarion. Clarion shares are trading higher after the company reported quarterly moccasin scan volume. Mosaic scan? No, I don't know. I thought that was moccasins. That's not what it is. Scan revenue.
This is for back pain, not shoes.
Yeah, scan volume increased 114% year over year. That's what's driving this higher. It is holding higher here by about 38%. Did have a high here at about 930-ish. We've pulled back, lost the VWAP. We haven't yet tested the 65 EMA, so that might be a possible support area if we continue to trade down on this. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 6.29% of the float charted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of 171,000 shares. So not a very highly traded stock, except today it's done 21 plus million. Float on this one, less than a million. Super low float, can easily be moved around. Factor that in. 13, what do you think here on Acon?
This is what I've been talking about. Medical devices that are AI enabled, and this is one that is absolutely killing it right now. This is what I want to see a lot about it when it comes to AI and devices, especially in the medical side, merging together. This is great. So this is moving. This is getting three-digit growth because of these devices, these nostril scan devices. Great news. Company does have cash, not yet profitable, but it's not too far away. As you put the float very low, so we could see this move pretty well throughout the day. As far as levels go, I had some here just a second ago, but let me zoom back in. It was looking to me like okay, so we're almost at 8 right now. So the 65 EMA was one place I was looking at, but we've already blown past that. 815 is 815 is one of the next ones that I see, followed by 875, 950, and 1050. Don't know if we're going to see all that, but those are the next big resistance areas that I'm keeping my eye on for ups, to get up to. So 815, 875, next ones that we're shaping up to see. Don't know if we'll end up getting those. It was starting to come back in on the 5-minute chart. There is some support down there at 730 and with the 65 EMA. It does look like it's trying to turn around right now, and the MACD is also indicating that it's trying to turn around. So we'll see if we end up getting back over 8 here as we approach the open. But that's what we want to see as we get into the open here. Is we need to get back above 815, because that was a support area prior to this drop that we had about 20 minutes ago. So that's what I would need to see for if I'm going to be bullish about this going back up. VWAP is near that 875 area too.
Yeah, I have VWAP at 837 here on my chart, but you're right. That would be another spot for it to get back above. Okay, good breakdown there. ACON is your ticker on that one. All right, next on the list is going to be ASPC. This is a SPAC acquisition. Okay, so this stock closed at like 16 and change yesterday, traded up towards 27 and change here in the pre-market, has now settled beneath its VWAP and gone sideways in a 21 handle. I don't see any new news on this, so it looks like this is just kind of being toyed with. I think the volume will probably tell the story here. You can see that the volume's kind of compressed, so to me, not even something that I'm looking to trade unless we start to see that volume expand. That would be step number one. Forget the levels for a sec. As far as the short interest goes, there's nothing here. 0.46% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. On average, this stock trades 350,000 shares a day. It's only traded 726,000 shares here today. And its float is 4.77 million. You have anything on this one, 13, ASPC?
I tried to look into this to see who they're merging with. I didn't have enough time, or else I probably might have been able to figure it out. But when I was initially searching, it was giving me a bunch of different results about how, because this company had there was a similar ticker back in 2022 that merged with another company. There's another one in 2024 that had a similar name. So I didn't have enough time to figure it all out and learn about which one is merging with. I think it might be Bioserica, but I'm not sure. So I really don't know who they're merging with, unfortunately. I didn't have enough time to look into that. The price is moving over VWAP. As we look at the 5-minute chart here, it was trying to get over VWAP. It just got rejected. Mm-hmm. That VWAP has been a pretty, little bit of a tough cookie here to get over. So I would say that if we can get back over VWAP as we approach the open, that makes make it start trading better. But if we can't, I'd be looking at that 65 EMA for support.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown there. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes on this. Next on the list here, boy, we got a lot of stuff popping double digits. I see you guys asking about BE. You know what? Why don't I just go to that one first, just to make sure I can get to it. Here's what your BE chart looks like. Got to be honest with you. This looks pretty awesome for a pre-market chart here. It does also, one of the other things, just really quickly at a glance, in addition to the nice looking up move, we're also seeing some volume continue to tick up, and that would be encouraging for more trading going forward. Veggie Girl. I actually already forgot about that. 13, I've got something for you here in a sec. Thank you, Veggie Girl, for reminding me. Let me actually make another note here in all caps, screaming at myself so that I don't forget it again. Good looking out, chat. You guys are the absolute best. Okay, anyway, with Bloom Energy here, which is up 15% here, what do we have for today? Why? I don't see any news here.
I like the daily chart.
Okay, yeah.
I'm being honest.
I don't see any fresh news, and I haven't seen anything come across the wire yet. But 13, let's talk about the daily chart then.
So had a great year last year. I mean, this thing was down around 22, and it went on a run all the way up to over 140. Backed off in about in November, as a lot of things did right as October came to a conclusion. A lot of institutions exiting positions and what have you, but that ended up taking it all the way down to just underneath 80. Now we bounced, and then we came back in and tested 80 again. We all actually tested it almost at the exact same spot. The first time we went down, we hit 76 exactly. The second time we hit 75.70. I think that's going to be a bit of a double bottom in that time frame there. But if you look at the past year, starting with beginning of 2025, and you see this ramp up and then the down move into the double bottom, and now we're coming back up again. This could be forming a couple of different bullish patterns. It could either be forming a scallop or a cup with handle. But I think that it's looking really good. And I think that we're going to want to keep an eye on 120, because getting over that price, that was a support and resistance area. If you look at when we moved up there at the end of October, we were holding above 120, and it was providing support up until November 13th, when we actually dropped through that level, and we kept back testing it as resistance. So now that we're through it, I'm going to be looking at it as support again. Might come underneath it briefly, but I think that we're going to see that 120 support kick in, and that's what I'd be looking at here today with Bloom Energy. We want to see 120 hold up and close above 120 by the end of the day. I think if we continue to close above 120, we're going to see 140 again in the future.
Okay, really quickly here, Alpha Trade saying $2.65 billion deal with AEP,
American Electric.
Yeah, and I still don't see it in here, which I wonder if our news desk is unable to confirm that. I'm looking on X though. Yeah, I've seen the same thing. $2.65 billion fuel cell deal with AEP plus a 20-year offtake for 100% plus of output at a planned Wyoming site. AEP will exercise an option lifting capacity to 1,000 megawatts.
Wow.
So there you go on DE. Yeah, and really good breakdown there too on the chart there. Okay. All right, I got to find this here real quick because
do I think
go ahead. They'll give me some time.
Yeah, do I think that BE might pull back? I mean, it's already indicating to me that it might a little bit. Let me just look at the chart here. I mean, it's looking like we're in the pre-market here. We're rolling over a little bit. MACD is indicating that there could be some downside. We're still above VWAP, so maybe that's going to be an area of support. But if we lose that, then I'd be looking towards 116, 115, that area for support. To the downside there. That's still above the 65 EMA, which is I have at 113.30. So there's levels that we can look at here beneath 120 for support. But like I said, it's got to be by the end of the day for me. We want to see the close of the regular session, where that price is at then. If it's above 120, great. If it's below, could be a little bit more downside. There's even a potential gap fill that could happen here with this. It takes it all the way down to 112. So there's several things that could happen here, both to the upside and downside. But I still think that this news is great. There might be a lot of room to run on this. Just want to see what happens out of the gate here, because it does look like the MACD is indicating that this could go lower initially.
Okay. I'm still looking for the story so that I can actually read the quote here for 13. What I'm going to do here, 13, did you have anything else on your list that you covered this morning?
Nope.
Okay, then really quickly, I did want to take a look at the next one here that we had. Was it Region Cell Bioscience? This actually might have news this morning. Nope, not on that one. IMG was another one here. Ticker IMG. Company is CIMG. Shares are trading higher after the company announced approximately $124 million for computing-powered related commercial contracts. That's why this stock is up 25%. You have anything on this one, 13?
Oh, I didn't look at this one.
IMG?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Looks like they've had this 124 million contract news out for some time. I see it that it was first brought up on Monday. This has been news. I guess it's been circulating all week. Now it's running today. I guess I'm a little confused about that.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
They also obtained shareholder consent for an increase of authorized shares. So they okay. It looks like they could be increasing the size of their common stock from 600 million to 2 billion shares. Okay. It looks like they're going to be raising a lot of money. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't looked at this company enough to really have a good opinion on the fundamental side. Let's see if I can get anything here for you on the technical side. We did pop up to VWAP, couldn't get over it. As a matter of fact, this one is another one of those that we lost VWAP actually just as soon as pre-market started, and we have not been able to get back above it since. So I think that's going to be the big thing for me is we need to see IMG recapture VWAP, and if it can't, lower it goes. Easy.
But we'll see if we end up getting that. I don't know why I can't find the story 13. I'm so disappointed with I'm doing way too much here in the morning.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's
really what this is coming down to. I'm just doing way too much. All right, we're open. There was a story here that mentioned how turbines were going to be extremely important, and I just wanted to do a victory lap. I can't find it. I can't read the quote. Veggie Girl, thank you. I just way too much stuff. Way too much stuff.
NVVE trying to push up here out of the gate. We had a
Ondas pushing up out of the gate. Sorry to interrupt.
We had a pre-market high of 508. We just went through it. We're hitting that trend line that you drew, Ryan, and we're going to halt. Fantastic move out of the gate there. Bloom Energy initially heading lower, trying to hold above this VWAP here. It's a little bit back and forth on that. IMG, this it popped, it looks like, and then it still struggled with the VWAP, and it's coming back down to the 200 EMA. MLTX, this one is now trading beneath VWAP for the moment. We're still in this candle, so it could get back above it. But for the moment, it looks like it's a little bit weak. ACON, this one looks like it's trying to push higher. Going to need a little bit more volume, but this is over that 815 level we were talking about. Let's see if we can get it to 875. That's the next area we were looking at. Might run into some trouble around 850.
Do you feel all right about this maybe going through its VWAP here? I've got it at 835. It looks like it's actually run into that and found resistance there right at the start. Do you think this goes through it?
I'm looking at the MACD, and the MACD looks like it's starting to turn up, so momentum could be swinging to the upside.
There
so that's a possibility there. Just looking to see if we end up getting to 875, and right, like I said earlier, 850 is going to be the one that I'm kind of watching right now, because I do see how that could provide some resistance. FLYX, that's coming up to 670. Just recaptured VWAP.
Oh, that is a nice VWAP recapture there. By the way, Acon rejected at its VWAP. Doesn't look like that's trying to go higher. Ondas, this is one of the things that we had talked about earlier here. Again, a move on no news here. This moved up to 14, actually peaked above 14 to 1408, pulling back a little bit, but looking pretty good here so far.
Bloom dropped down just under 120 out of the gate, and then it reversed.
What a bounce.
Yeah, so that 120, I think that's pretty good spot. Let's see, IMG still dealing with VWAP. Looks like Fly MX went up to 670, so that's looking pretty good. Let's see if it can continue higher. Looks like there's somebody trying to walk that down from 650.
This was a good mention, by the way, on that recapture of the VWAP.
We'll see what happens with that one. Looks like ACON, yeah, to your point, VWAP still giving it trouble. Pushing it back down. We'll see if it can get some support at 760 or the 65 EMA.
S&P futures here, it's actually holding right at the VWAP. Might have a potential red-green move on our hands coming up here. The Dow's already trying to do that. Dow's already trying to trade up. NASDAQ, interestingly, moving lower. But let's see if we get a red-green move here on SPY.
ASPC, that SPAC that I don't know what's merging with, this is moving up out of the gate here. Might run into some trouble around $24 as it did in pre-market. Came up out of the gate. It ran up over to 27.14, but the next move up it had, it only got up a little bit beyond 24, and then it came back in. So looking at 24 as a resistance area from right about here.
Joe saying AVAV, RCAT, Ondas, all up probably because
Nice.
of Trump's commitment to increase the budget. Yeah, any of those names,
Yeah.
and especially with the drone names, because remember, we have the parallel news story about how the United States is going to spend more on drones. Now they're increasing the budget. You would assume that would be really good for the drone companies. That's affecting all of them here. I was saying there was no specific news to Ondas that I could find there. Ondas new highs now, 14.13. I actually didn't even think that I would be trimming again this soon. Jay Rice, let me ask you really quick. When you do some of these trims, do you like, if the stock just keeps performing, do you wait? Do you stick with certain levels? How do you determine what you're going to do there? My order's still sitting out there at 15 if we get there today.
Yeah, I mean, how'd you like that when we were talking about it? I was like, oh yeah, this thing's going to 15. Here we are. It's on the doorstep.
To be quite honest with you, I liked it a lot actually. So that worked.
It just has that momentum right now. This thing looks like
Yeah,
it was just headed right for it. Now $15 in ONDS looks like a big resistance area. So
yeah, I would not be surprised at all if it found some significant resistance.
Yeah, I do not think it's a good idea to be a buyer at $15 for ONDS right now.
Me either.
Don't do it. Okay.
And one of the things I highlighted earlier, we've seen this stock loves to pull back. And in fact, even off the impulse move in the pre-market, pulled back to the VWAP before launching here at the open. So,
Kevin mentioning Lunar. Thank you for that. Love the space plays. Also, ACON now green. Meanwhile, MLTX, this one.
You know what? Someone was asking for levels. Jay Harris was asking for levels on MLTX.
Oh, well, we're breaking some down right now. I would say maybe just under 14 is going to be another support area, but I think I like the 65 EMA better. That's at 1325. I mean, we are losing some serious support areas right now. So I wouldn't get in the way of this one. It looks like it could still come in a little bit lower, but I don't. Those are the levels I see. About 14, just a little bit under 14, and then the 65 EMA. Those are the next support areas. We'll see if they hold up.
Okay. The areas that we had mentioned here, resistance at 18 and 24. I don't even know if we're going to test that.
And VVE open.
Okay.
Open. Perfect. It popped up over that trend line, went to 569. Now it's coming back in. Looking for some support. Probably we'll see it. Hopefully we'll see it at around 510. Actually, we may have just gotten down there a moment ago. VWAP is beneath it at 482. But that 510 area, that was the kind of the resistance area before we had the breakout out of the open. So we'll see if that holds up.
Okay. And VVE, we shall see.
Bloom Energy.
1456. Jay, really quickly here, I'd asked you directly. Jay says, depends on your cost basis, Ryan. I'd probably sell some short-dated 15 calls. Premiums are huge. Yeah, you know what? That's actually a good idea too. I think what I might do next here, Jay, is I might do exactly that. And sell some calls against the stock, collect the premium. If it goes higher, end up selling at those levels. That's not a bad idea. Appreciate that, Jay.
Yeah, Bloom Energy. This was great. That reversal off after it went under 120. This thing just took off. Went to 126.69. Also, getting a mention about Oracle. Remember we talked about this yesterday, how it had a death cross coming? Well, that happened today, or it was like today or yesterday, and now we're seeing the effects of it. This to me looks like we could be retesting like the 180 area, and hopefully we do a 180 after that. But that's where I think we're headed next in ORCL. IMG, this thing just ugly. Beneath all the pre-market levels, we're dealing with some after hours levels now. Might be getting some support around that 125 area, but I don't know about this one. Looks like we're getting a pull in a lot of these names actually right now. And VVE, actually, on the other hand, is trying to push higher. We're still above that trend line. ACON also looking much better. Actually, we're going to test that 875 level I mentioned earlier. And then let's see, what else are we looking at here, folks? G-Man mentioning Rocket Lab.
How's Rocket Lab? Another rocket on our hands?
How's Rocket Lab? Oh, yes, here we go. Wow, okay, this is, jeez. Well, I was looking at the chart, and I wasn't wrong when I was looking at this on Tuesday and saying, man, this thing needs to maybe cool off or pull back in. It was looking good yesterday when we kind of going sideways, but man, oh man, here we are now breaking out of this channel that we've been in since I guess late 2024. We're getting pretty extended here in Rocket Lab, but I was looking for 90 in this. I just wasn't looking for it this quick. This is, I said there's a post I made in the happy hour chat last year about how this could see 90 in 2026. Guess it's happening.
Maybe January of 2026, first month. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
What kind of turbines did 13 mean? I mean the kind of turbines that you use for generating power. So you basically, you're going to be turbines for nuclear, so nuclear power generators. Those turbines that use steam to generate electricity, those are going to be important. Ones that you burn natural gas that also, I think, send steam through the turbine and generates electricity, those are going to be important. The companies that I like are GEV, and let me just make sure I got the spelling right. But it's GEV is one of them, and then let's see, and then Siemens. I just can't remember the ticker. It's like I'm like, is it IE or EI? SIEGY. Those are the two turbine companies that I like. There's another one that gets frequently mentioned in our happy hour group by one of the gentlemen that has been doing this for a while. He likes Powell, P-O-W-L, and I don't necessarily. My understanding is they're not necessarily a generator company, but they make the electrical components that are going to be between the generator and the rest of the grid. So taking all that electricity that these generators produce and then transferring them to the electrical grid that everybody else is going to use. That's what Powell makes. So I think that's going to be another important company that you're going to want to take a look at. And chart doesn't look too bad to me, actually. Looks like we're shaping up to try and make a run for 400 again.
FLYX, this is the fly private, fly exclusive that we talked about earlier. This is halted to the upside here. Good mention. BW also halted, by the way. This to the upside. Babcock and Wilcox, we traded this one before as well. So two of those stocks into an upside halt. This FLYX sure looks like it's going to try and test 7. And then one other stock, this was a request that you folks wanted to take a look at. Let me bring it up here. ALMS. This was something that we had talked about on Tuesday. They had a piece of news here on Tuesday about their onward study and getting data off of that. That drove it higher in the pre-market. We traded higher out of the open, settled at the end of the day, kind of drifted a little bit higher yesterday, but today we're actually seeing a little bit of a tick up on some volume. So I'd be looking at 20 and then maybe 22.5, which is where this previous high was in terms of these areas. That's ALMS.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the way this chart looks following that big move we had on Tuesday. I'd say if we can't get, start closing above $20 by the end of the week, we might see this come back in, and 16 is going to be a big support area. That's what I think.
Okay. I love it. I love that you give us your thoughts too. That's absolutely awesome. Josh, this is a good question. I love the thought here, and I would like to have a discussion here with the group on this. Josh is asking, do you see Coke and Pepsi to keep declining after the new food pyramid that we got yesterday? Really quickly, without going into it, without going into it, or spending too much time on it, basically they flip the food pyramid upside down. It's an upside down pyramid with protein, fruits, and vegetables being the big thing at the top, and sugar, and added sugar in particular, being at the very bottom. It definitely seems like the war on additive sugar is going on right now. So I think this is a great question here for Josh. My initial knee-jerk reaction to this is yes. But every time that we've talked about Pepsi in the happy hour, we've also talked about its food division and its snack division, and that's Frito-Lay, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before being huge international. So I'm just not sure. I would say right off the top here, yes, I would expect this to decline. But I think maybe you won't get like a print. I don't know. I don't have a trade on this. I don't have my money where my mouth is on this. You have any thoughts on this, 13?
Well, I'm in Pepsi. I've owned this for
the long side.
For some time, yeah. For the long, and I'm in it for the long term. This actually just almost had a bit of a gap fill. The gap that was created in July. I think we just barely filled that earlier this morning. The RSI on the daily is also very low. It's under 30. So I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot more downside in the short term and maybe even the long term. I know that there is a big push to get not humans, well, humans in general, but Americans to eat healthier, so that it can curtail some of the high costs of specialized medicine and costs that everybody has to incur.
Costs.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that to your point about the food side, I think that this is they go through different formulations too. So there's always going to be this possibility that they make changes to their brand and make products that are a little bit less sugary or don't have such adverse effects on human health. But I don't think there's going to be a whole lot more downside. I think that this is still a great company going forward. This is one of the sectors that's been hammered down last year, the consumer staples. So I think I don't think if there's going to be some more downside, I don't think there's a whole lot left. We're very, very extended to the downside. I think that we should be turning around. And if we do end up turning around, one thing that I really need to see happen are actually two things. One, got to get back above 140 and start closing above that, and need to recapture the 200-day SMA. Those are the two next big things I need to see.
Okay, good stuff there. I do like that 130 support there on Pepsi that you were talking about. I could see that holding here. Buffalo by Bicycle. I added Coke yesterday. I live on dividends. That's another really good point here, especially with Coke. This is a dividend play, so perhaps you'd see less of an impact from that change there in Coke. But good stuff there. Good discussion. I don't have any position on this. It's hard for me to really, to me, the trade here is no trade at the moment. I'll let you know if that changes though. All right, let me go back to the main workspace here.
FlyX getting a mention here. We had a halt that we're in right now. So this is looking pretty good here. $8 next resistance area.
So we unhalted, busted through the pre-market high of 7 and rehalted here at 744, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, okay, second halt, this one to the upside. New highs, by the way, on Ondas. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know if this one is in its first or second halt. I know that NVVE was the one that halted.
I can tell you, thanks to Benzinga Pro, or according to Benzinga Pro, okay. FLYX, second halt, both to the upside.
All right, cool. Looks like another one that I like to, trade and see a lot of movement on. Momentous. That's having a pretty decent day. It's kind of flat at the moment.
Yesterday too.
But it's kind of flat at the moment, but it dropped out of the gate down to about 1340 and then it reversed. And we're right almost back at the starting position. So nice reversal there. Let's look at some of these movers. MLTX, after that big drop out of the gate that almost took it to the 65 EMA, we are back in near the trend line that I think we had drawn earlier before we had that. I think you had it on a different chart, but there was a trend line I drew from the highs at 1742 through the high at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that was on the movers chart, but I can very easily re-add that here.
So it was interesting because we broke through that, came back and tested it as support, but then as soon as we opened, we fell right through it. So now we're coming back up to VWAP. Need to see a recapture of VWAP.
Yeah, indeed. That, by the way, that VWAP is 1538, so we're about 20 cents away from that. Ondas at the top of the scanner here, 15 test coming. I'll let you know when I get filled.
Do you want to draw a trend line for Bloom Energy?
Yes, definitely. All right. Trend a little more there on Ondas as we pop through 15. And I did not think those two trends were going to be coming, but that is absolutely awesome. Give myself a registering. What the hell? All right. What did we want to check out here? Sorry.
Bloom Energy?
BE.
Yeah.
All right.
So the trend line I drew, I started with that high at 740. It should be the first impulse high.
Yeah, right here. Got it.
Yeah, so I used the high from there and I drew it through the high at 910. That would be 126. Yeah, so about there through there, and now we have a little bit of a target to shoot for. That means that if we the price hits this trend line, we're going to be over 130. So So we'll see if we end up getting there. It's looking like it's running into some trouble with 128. But if we get back past 128, I think we're hitting that 130 trend line.
Awesome. Bob says, congrats, Ryan. You nailed it on Ondas. Indeed. And we aren't done yet, Bob. But I'm at the point now where I'm also looking for the next one here. And I think that our group here has hit on a lot of different themes that I'm going to be digging into. So really good stuff. Glad y'all folks were able to make some money with that, though. Ring the register, Ryan. Very nice. There you go, Chop Coop. Let's do it. Samel's asking if MU is at a good level for a day or a swing. Man, I'll let the group handle this one. We've talked about these really kind of being overcooked. We covered some of or just massive moves, maybe not even overcooked. We covered some of the news here where it doesn't look like this is slowing down. Samel, one of the things I'll do here is I'll actually drop that news story. I don't think you were here for this morning. Here's the news story that outlines some of that, what's going on here with DRAM and some of the look forward here. I have a very tough time chasing a stock that has moved like this. This is just my own personal, this is just the own personal way that I trade. And it's definitely a little bit more conservative in nature. I have a tough time recommending this up here, but given what we were seeing on some of the, with the theme, I think the theme can keep going here. I think I would at least want to wait for like a 313 pullback here on MU. It's just, I don't feel great about this. It's super extended. 13, you got any thoughts on this or the group?
So I guess it depends on your time horizon, because I would say that if you're looking at holding Micron for like, a year, 2 years or longer, I think this could be, fine buying it here. But if you're looking to do a trade in a much shorter period of time, I don't think I'd be buying here at all. I'm a little bit concerned about there being a corrective move coming up that could, pull Micron and some others down temporarily. But I also think that this is going to have a massive move throughout the year and beyond. I think it could see similar NVIDIA moves. Remember how that thing started at a price and it just went on a crazy run, split, and continue to run. We could see something similar in Micron because they have all of their silicon that they're selling for high bandwidth memory. It's all booked up for the next year and beyond. They're going to have blowout numbers for a while, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but I feel like this is super extended. I would like to see this come back in. Ideally, for me, if I wanted to get a good move down out of this and feel comfortable about entering, I'd like to see it hit the 20-day SMA. That's about 18.5% away from where it is now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Here, from the story earlier, meanwhile, Micron is investing aggressively to capture long-term AI growth. Company will break ground in January 2026 on a massive New York mega fab.
Yep.
So
they're building more fabs in New York. They're expanding their fabs in Idaho. They are making measures of they're trying to build for capacity, and because they are seeing the demand, and they know that they are going to have a backlog for a while. So building new plants, new fabs, that's going to help them with their backlog, which is substantial.
So I see some more folks saying that I've been holding Micron here for a while. So for those that are looking for a new trade here, if you have an opinion on this, help Samel out. Go into the chat and let us know what areas you'd like to maybe trade this. Again, 13, I think you did a good job outlining short-term versus long-term there in terms of your goals.
Yeah.
Okay. See, Jamie Dimon here says, so in other words, they're going to overinvest while their competition does the same thing, and then all the prices will drop. And that's something else that we talked about, right? That was, when you have these shortages, eventually that's going to lead to having too much. Maybe that comes back in a little bit. Again, it's tough. When a stock is this extended, it's tough. If the group has spots where you're comfortable initiating a new position for the purpose of a trade, let Samel know. Yeah, every time you see just some guy, every time you see a move this wild, you think, why didn't I just buy more of that? I have the same thing on Ondas, right? The thing was 70, 80 cents. Why not just buy another 10,000 shares? What's the big deal? Ondas bumped its head at 15, just like you guys predicted. Indeed, actually peaked above by 7 cents and came back in. I did do my second trim. I have no other orders out there right now to trim. So, and I've trimmed so much of it now, I can hold this, even if this thing does another pretty nasty reversal. But I like Jay's idea from earlier. I really do. As far as trimming a little bit more here, maybe doing that by selling upside calls. I like that. I especially like that when it's running like this too. So Jay, I appreciate you. I appreciate you offering that.
Mover from yesterday, glue. This is not having a bad day at all. Actually, I think it went higher than yesterday. Yeah, it did. It's higher than yesterday now.
Uh-oh.
Interessante.
Oh, it looks like it was just the. Did I type the ticker in wrong? Because it was just
glue?
the glue. Yeah, all my charts are working fine. Maybe it was just the glue chart. Yeah, I have some issue with the glue feed for whatever reason. All the other charts look like they're okay though. All right, APLD. This is another one. This reported earnings yesterday. This is moving higher on the back of that earnings print. This is a nice little trade higher and then a move out of the open. Back down to its VWAP, kind of flirted with that area a little bit. Now maybe we trade back up. Your impulse high there, 35.5. It's currently at 34. That's APLD. Getting
a lot of pull in all these movers. Bloom went to 128 and came back in underneath VWAP. ASPC, that SPAC that I have no idea what it's doing, is now beneath the 65 EMA. NVVE is now beneath its VWAP. MLT, same thing. ACON, same thing. FLYX, on the other hand, this thing is absolutely ripping. It went over $8, went up to $8.88, came back in, but this is, still looking better than all the other ones I just mentioned. So at the same time, seeing some pressure to the upside.
FLYX is halted.
It was.
This says trading halt.
It's not halted right now, but it was.
Oh no, it says trading halt resumed. That's my own fault. I had the column wrong. Sorry about that, guys.
So kind of just sitting on my hands right now, waiting for all this downside to shake
There
out.
we go.
NVVE. Wow, this thing really. This is going to probably come back into the 65 EMA NVVE.
Take a look at that.
Looks like Bloom Energy coming back into the 120 area. And IMG, man, IMG, this thing has just not been great at all this morning. This is coming right back to where it started this big move.
Really quickly. Sorry.
Oh, nice.
I thought you were done there. This is MUD. This is ticker MUD. This is the direction bear ETF for Micron. We talked about this yesterday. Actually, we did have a gentleman in the happy hour ended up buying some of this yesterday, and lo and behold, it's working here today. This, if you want to play Micron to the downside, I like this a lot more than shorting it. $4 ETF here. You see, this has already made a 3% move after being lower here in the pre-market. So this might be a way to play the pullback here without exposing yourself to shorting an absolute rocket ship of a stock in Micron. Looks like it's working here today. This is another one though. With these, I would trade these as opposed to just kind of sitting and holding them. It seems to work better when you trade them back and forth.
Yep.
MUD, what a ticker! Yeah, it is what it is. NASDAQ actually looks like the weakest indice right now, with Dow being the strongest. NASDAQ looking like it's about to set some new lows as we speak.
ACON, this is trying to recapture its VWAP. Looks like we may have kind of double bottomed from the pre-market into the regular session at around 755. Let's see if it can clear 875 now.
Okay, Brent, love it. Register rings today. Brent, 631 to 831 FLYX. Let's go, baby.
All right.
That's a register ring for Brent.
Okay, now FLYX is halted again to the downside this time.
I think that's probably why he's skedaddled from it. Jay here saying, ports hod, Q's lod.
Yep. All right, here we go. ACON, we're starting to get some movement here. Let's see that 875. Show me 875.
Oh, yeah, right through the VWAP. Good mention, 13.
And there we go. Thank you.
Good mention. You know what, 13? Registering, baby. Way to
It
go.
was it was looking pretty good with that double bottom. MACD was starting to curl to the upside.
Yeah.
Kind of was signaling that this was going to get going here.
And that was
Wasn't expecting the big explosive move, and now we're going into a halt, but still really good trade.
Don't apologize for winning, buddy.
Next is going to be 950 for this resistance area.
Okay.
And we're also getting another bounce in bloom from that same area we visited earlier. Fantastic. And Mud looking for 5.
Joby, this popped a little bit here. Do we have news on Joby today?
Joby and Archer, I believe, were getting mentioned earlier that they were getting a lift. I like the way that the past, basically
it was
all
just
the
the news from yesterday. Yeah, it looks like it's moving.
All the price action from this year so far with Joby looks pretty good to me. I would need to see a move over 1650 next. Archer, on the other hand, looks very similar. And what's great about Archer is that we actually have some moving average that it's interacting with. So we out of the gate here in the new year, we moved up through the 20-day SMA and then the 50-day SMA. And now we're using the 50-day SMA as support, which looks great. $9 is a resistance area, as evidenced by all the price action since November, trying to recapture that level. If we get above $9, the 200-day SMA is next, and I think we could see 10 shortly afterwards.
Okay. All right. We're out of time here for today. Let's go ahead and move to the wrap up on some of the movers that we were looking at. And then we'll go ahead and end the show here for today. Just another reminder before y'all freak out and yell at us. We are trying to get the show extended. We should have a definitive word for you tomorrow, so be sure to tune in. But for right now, let's go ahead and recap some of these movers. The first one was going to be FlyX. Brent, sounds like you and several others ended up doing pretty well off of this. We had a nice impulse move in the pre-market, a pretty decent pullback to the 15 EMA, and then a launch through the VWAP again that took us almost to 9 there. We had said earlier, can this hold VWAP? The answer was yes, and we ended up getting trade out of it. We will see what is next. On Fly, did you have anything else on FlyX?
No, we pretty much talked about this one into the ground.
Well, let's hope it doesn't go back into the ground. Just FYI. Next one here that we had was MLTX. We talked about this having resistance levels of 18 and 24. None of them ever got there. The trend line that we outlined in the pre-market, that's going to hold up all day. This thing did not yet make it down to its 65 EMA, but it is beneath its VWAP. Maybe this is putting in a bottom near 14, 13. I think you mentioned that one as well, but that level as well. If this can recapture VWAP, I would have the trend line as a target.
Yeah, it's still indicating that there's some downside momentum, but that, to me, that just means that we're going to be seeing a turnaround at some point here, not too far from now. So I'd be watching for either a breakdown or a breakout. If we get the breakout, then we do clear that VWAP. But I think with this compression that we're experiencing right now, we're about to choose a direction pretty soon.
Okay. Next one on the list here was NVVE. Let's wrap that up here as well. NVVE, we had talked earlier about really this kind of being like almost every 10 cents, right? 520 seemed to be one of those areas of resistance, along with, what do I have here? 530. We also had, I think, a trend line on this that really kind of stopped it. Possible gap fill to 540 to 660. Boy, we like peaked into that area 13 and had no follow through now. Now, at this point, I think I'd like to see this hold 436. What do you think on NVVE?
I'm right there with you on the 436 area. You have the 65 EMA right in that area. And if you look at the pre-market from the after hours, we kind of made a little bit of a gap in that area as well. And ever since we did, all throughout the pre-market, we've been trying to recapture that 435, 436 area, and finally did just before about 15 minutes before we opened or so. So that's going to be a big support area, which if we lose, the next one's going to be down at about 415, and then we have the 200-day SMA, and that's pretty much as I think as low as we could potentially go. But this to me looks like there's going to be some more downside here ahead of this. Just more downside ahead from here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Chart sure looks like that's going to be the case. Acon, this is the other one we talked about.
Yep.
This currently halted, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, currently halted. This did you already wrapped this one. This had a nice little double bottom from the pullback from the impulse high, a move on an expansion of volume through the VWAP. That took us up to the halt price here. 933-ish is going to be your pre-market high, 934 in there. What do you think on this one?
So we'll just to see what we get out of the halt here. I'm expecting this to at least pop up. Okay, we just unhalted. So looking for this to try and get up to 950. So far, not happening. We just lost 9. But if this volume does expand, because it looks like the MACD is indicating that the momentum is trying to swing upwards, 950 is going to be the next resistance area I see.
Okay, and then the last one here we'll wrap with is Bloom Energy, ticker BE. This has been a monster last year. It looks like there's more this year. $2.5 billion deal here this morning, sending it higher. We had a trend line. It really never got up there and tested it. Maybe it's not done. We did pull back here. To my eye, it sure looks like maybe 116 next.
Yeah.
Maybe that 65 EMA creeps up there, but I think that you could probably wait this one out for a hold of one of those support areas before trading again. What do you think here on Bloom Energy?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that you're going to want to let this come in some more. It doesn't look like it's finished with the downside. I do like that 115, 116 area for support. That was initially the first impulse move that we got around 740 this morning. And initially there was resistance, came back in, got support from the VWAP before we managed our way through that 115 level. Mm-hmm. So looking at 115 as the next big area, 115 to 116 as that next big area of support with the 65 EMA in the way.
Okay, really good stuff. 13 closing words for the group here before we sign off for the day.
Hey folks, have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you see any trades set up and you got good volume, do your trades. Don't force anything. Don't lose any money that you made here this morning. And we'll be back here to do this again tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, we will. Indeed, 13. Good job. And keep it up in the chat room. We will be back here again tomorrow. I hope to bring you some good news tomorrow as well. But you can always remember that you can tag along and trade along with the Benzinga group by joining Benzinga Pro. QR code is at the top of the screen. We've got multiple levels, so you don't have to break the bank in order to do that. You'll still have access to the chat and everything else. Wish you the absolute best. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great rest of your